Welcome to It's Possible podcast. This is where we help high income earners to save and plan their retirement so that they can retire without financial stress. Today, I have with me Rod, who's going to blow your mind. So, Rod, please take a minute, introduce yourself so we can take the conversation from there.
Hey, welcome. First of all, thank you for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to come on your platform and share. Love the energy that you bring to the industry and just to the world. With the information on your platform. So as you mentioned, first name is Rod. So I don't know if I need to say that part, but Rod Powell. I'm an entrepreneur, advocate, and educator in the insurance and financial services industry. I run an agency in the Richmond, Virginia area. We service DC, Maryland, Virginia, Encore Insurance Group, serving as the agency principal. I also am an author of 3 books, Black Pioneers of the American Insurance Industry, Black Innovators of the American Insurance Industry, and You Should Get a License, Everything You Should Know About the Most Underrated Career Opportunity in Business Today. And I also host a platform and run a media platform called You Should Get a License, which educates individuals about careers in the insurance and financial services industry. And on the education front, I'm an instructor for pre-licensing here in the state of Virginia, and I'm also a professor at Virginia Commonwealth University in their School of Risk Management and Insurance as well. And think that's about it, man. And
Wow,
husband, father, all that good stuff too.
that's powerful, man. So you're really busy, man. You're a busy man.
It's a lot going on.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks.
So, wow. So let me see which side of it we can talk about because in the financial industry, what got you to say that this is the industry where you want to serve?
Man, I love that question. My background was actually in the entertainment industry. So ever since I was 13 years old, I thought I was going to be an R&B superstar. First time I heard Jodeci, come and talk to me, like I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing with the rest of my life, And for the next, 20 years, from the time I was 13 up until the time I was around 33, that's what I focused on. During that time, I was fortunate enough to be able to record music, to record, 6 albums actually that were commercially released, charted on Billboard, had music placed in film and TV, was able to tour internationally. So I've been all around the world on the music side of the house. And just had some phenomenal experiences all the way from my younger teens up until my early 30s.
This video is brought to you by It's Possible Insurance and Financial Services. We have our office here in Fayetteville, Georgia, 353 Glen Street North. Now, if you'd like to learn how to prepare your retirement, to save your money or protect your assets using IUL and annuities, please click on the link below and schedule a call with me. I will be glad to talk to you. Thank you very much for watching the video. Let's go back to the interview.
However, around that time, as I mentioned, I'm a father. My youngest son, he's 14 now, but at the time, he was an infant, barely 1 year old. And I'm thinking to myself, how do I create some stability for him as I'm traveling, all around the country on this music thing? And like I said, he was the youngest, at the time. So he wasn't the only consideration. The others would consider, his brothers were the considerations too. And I got a call. I got a phone call. I actually had I was looking for something that was going to be a little bit more stable and really something that would allow me to be at home more. I put out, some resumes, and one thing I'll tell you, for anybody who's worked in the entertainment industry, particularly as an independent artist, or you've run a label. I ran a label. I set up the distribution. I set up the tours. I did the promo calls. I was calling stations. I was calling stores.
Wow.
I was doing a lot of this, and I was working with some great people around it. But I'll tell you, anybody who's had any degree of moderate success in that space can jump virtually into any other industry, and they're going to find that they're going to be able to navigate rather, I'm not going to say easily, but I'll say without as much risk aversion as others may, particularly as it pertains to careers that are 100% commission based. So I ended up getting a call from a few different insurance companies, ended up meeting with a few of them and having some conversations, really learning some things I had no clue about learning about supplemental health and cancer policies, accident, short-term disability, life insurance, learning a bit about commercial insurance. And I actually had a little bit of experience on the claim side of insurance previously, but what that didn't relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up meeting with a company that told me that in this industry, take a chance, put your head down, go for 12 months. You're gonna look up. It's gonna be one of the best career decisions you ever made. And this was a
Mm.
company that worked with businesses during business hours. So it wasn't a scenario where I was speaking to a lot of individuals. I was mostly talking to companies and decision makers at those companies, the employees, and then those decision makers. But I said, well, if anybody has ever been successful at this, I feel like I can be successful at it. So why
Okay.
not? I'll give it a shot, And I said, I'm going to put my head down, which is what I did. Looked up 12 months from then, and lo and behold, the gentleman who was the state manager of this organization at the time was 100% spot on. Matter of fact, I thought that I was doing this as something part time and on the side while I was still pursuing my music interests. Come to find out, fast forward, a few years later, I would be in the same position as the state manager, running DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware for that company, and eventually branching out and starting my own firm, Encore Insurance Group, and that's where we are now.
Oh wow, that's powerful, and that's a powerful start. The reason I say that it's because I have seen people in the insurance industry, and it seems like it's not working for them.
Yeah.
And when you go, you offer someone an opportunity to become an insurance agent. They take it as something that's not going to work. So, and you say that you put your head down for 12 months and you were able to build a business with that. So, how did your experiences in music industry help you to navigate insurance?
Well, there's an old saying that success is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and so is failure.
Hmm.
So whatever ideology someone is approaching that opportunity with, that typically is going to be their end result, because they've already determined what their fate is going to be
Hmm.
before they even got
Wow.
started. Um, like I said, to the gentleman who was a state manager at the time, I said, look, if somebody's been successful doing this, I feel like I could be successful doing it too.
Hmm.
I don't feel like there's anything that someone else can do that is humanly possible that I cannot also accomplish if I put my mind to it and dedicate myself to it. And I think what helped me along, I would never say that it's a cakewalk. It's not a cakewalk for anyone. It takes a mental conditioning and a certain type of
Hmm.
temperament to really sustain consistently in this business, because there are quite a bit of ebbs and flows, and you have to walk with the walk with the mindset of, I'm not going to let my highs get too high, I'm not going to let my lows get too low, I'm just going to stay even, and once again keep my head down and just keep working, keep moving
Hmm.
forward, keep working towards the goal. And then when you look up, that's when you actually get to realize what's been accomplished, and maybe enjoy some of it as well. But the things that came from the entertainment industry were, that that cultivation of really fearlessness. I wasn't afraid of, and still am not really afraid of rejection, because
Hmm.
rejection was a part of that business on a pretty regular basis. Somebody was not going to book you, or someone was not going to buy your music. Somebody was, not going to resonate with what you do, and that's okay, because for everyone that doesn't resonate with what you do, there is someone who will resonate with
Hmm.
what you do. You just have to find the
Okay.
person that's for you. You want to people people get hung up on trying to make everyone their customer or everyone their client.
Hmm.
You have to do business with the people that want to do business with you,
Wow.
and,
Okay.
and that's who you need to
Hmm.
be looking for. Everybody's not my client. The person who's my client is the person that resonates with my personality. We get along. We have similar values and ideals. We want to go in similar directions, and they want to add value to me in the same capacity that I want to add value to them. So looking at my experiences in the entertainment industry and translating them to this industry, everything that I'm saying to you really came from that industry. Your
Hmm.
audience are going to be the people that enjoy your music. Not everybody likes R&B music. I was an R&B guy. Not everybody likes R&B. Some people like country, some people like
Yeah.
classical. They're gonna buy country and classical if that's what they like. If they like R&B, they may get my music. Um, can't not being afraid of rejection, because
Hmm.
you're gonna walk into a space, and you're gonna have to get on that stage, and you're gonna have to be vulnerable and share who you are. And I think in this space, you're also sharing who they are. People sometimes attempt to be what they think they should be, as opposed to just being themselves. And once again, the people that are going to resonate with you are the people that are going to resonate with you. So you be who you are. That's another piece that came from the music side. Obviously, being able to present in public, is something that, I was performing on stages since I was 13 years old. I was
Hmm.
on the Apollo stage on amateur night, at 14, with a group of guys who were older than me, and we won the first time. We lost the second time, but we won the first time. So having experiences like that, really allowed me to, obviously to still feel the adrenaline of being in front of people, but not to be intimidated by the thought of being in front of people and speaking, and also just as an entrepreneur, even in the entertainment industry. Like I said, it just gave me a fairly high tolerance for risk. And I'm not advising everybody to have that same degree of tolerance, because it can have pros and cons,
Hmm.
but because
Yeah.
it can translate into other areas of life too. But but for me, I just felt like I'm gonna have an unwavering, really, belief in my ability, and I'm gonna leverage that ability to get to wherever God is gonna lead me, wherever the divine is gonna take me. All things are divine order. So in the entertainment business, I just didn't I didn't worry. I said, what will come out of it? Will come out of it. I had some great experiences there, and then this
Hmm.
opportunity came. Um, it took me on a different road that I started on, and just haven't looked back. It really has been the best career decision I've ever made. Truly.
That's powerful. You are a high income earner. You mentioned some of the things you do. You didn't mention all of the things you do, because I know a few more things you didn't mention, like being president of the National Association of African. What is it called?
Well, I'm actually okay. I was formerly the president of the Central Virginia chapter of the National African American Insurance
Okay.
Association. I'm no longer the president of that chapter
Okay.
in my area. But I do now sit on their national board of directors, which I'm very privileged, to be able to do that, and work with amazing individuals, in this industry, on how do we make it better, and empower it for not just African American professionals, but just for the diversity, landscape
Hmm.
in this industry as a whole. But yeah, the National African American Insurance Association is certainly a trade association that I have, man, much love and affinity for. I'm also on the board here in Virginia for the Virginia Association of Independent Agents as well, which is a
Okay.
educational association. Here in Virginia, we got some programs that are happening with some high school students coming up in the spring, and I've worked with other professional trade associations as well in my field. Also, I'm a part of an organization called Black Friday Network, which is a black-owned aggregator on the property and casualty side. So yeah, there's a few things
Yeah.
that are going on. Look, my mission, looking, man, is just to add value where I
Yeah.
can. One of my mentors, it's interesting. You talk about the high income earner and all of that jazz, and I'll say that for the income that I earn, it may be higher than average, and I don't like to even talk about my income. I don't know who's watching, but I say that wherever it is, it's not where I aim to be.
Hmm.
But I don't look at the money. I look at the impact and value
Hmm.
that I can add, and my income is going to be in line with the value that I can add. And I learned that very early on. One of my mentors said, he was telling a story about his mentor saying, "Hey, if you really want to make a lot of money, don't worry about the money. Just worry
Hmm.
about taking care of the people. If you worry about taking care of the people, then the money is going to be a byproduct of what you're able
Of
to do. And I
course,
feel like
of your
that's been a
impact.
large part of my story and my journey, is really just saying, hey, how can I create wins for other people? If I can help other people win, then I'm gonna inevitably win myself.
That's amazing. So let's go back a little bit because people may see you at that level. They may not understand if you've had any type of struggle in the past. So starting from in the music industry, like you're 13, what are some of the struggles you had in your life going up to be in at the level where you are right now?
Well, first of all, in the entertainment industry, I mean, everything that I was really able to, accomplish as far as the catalog of music that I was able to release commercially, that was released independently. I mean, I could start from, struggles from 13 years. One, the group I was with when I first started on that side, I wasn't the lead singer. Nobody really thought I even had a degree of talent there.
Wow.
I remember we had our talent show. I was just the youngest guy. I was like kind of the baby of the group, right? And I remember we had our high school talent show the first year that we did it. I was a freshman in high school. The other guys were a little bit older. And because we had been on like the local news, we had been to the Apollo, we had met with labels, we had the stuff going on, they wouldn't let us compete in the talent show. They said we had to be special guests in our own high school talent show. So we were special guests in the high school talent show. But then the following year, when everyone else had graduated and moved on, and I was the only one that was left in the school, when I went to the talent show to simply enter, they told me that I had to audition to be in
Oh.
the show, even though I was a special guest the year before. So in any event, I auditioned and I won. So that's okay. That worked out well. But you just continue on. I remember later on down the line, meeting with a producer who, felt like, I wasn't going to be able to kind of, stand on my own, as a performer. Lo and behold, I ended up putting out, like I said, 6 commercially released projects, 3 full length LPs, touring internationally on 4 different continents, having music distributed in the UK, in
Wow.
France, in UK, France, and Japan, and Canada, doing cruise ships, having music and film and TV, and like blockbuster movies at that, So, um, there's been a lot of adversity. There's been a lot of adversity. I think
Yeah.
that you can't focus on the adversity. You got to just focus on moving forward. And
Hmm.
when it was time to make that change, I mean, that was a time that was adverse. I mean, my record had charted on Billboard, and I'm moving around the country, and I'm like, man, these records aren't really selling like that. And the reason they're not selling is because everybody's streaming now.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so I'm like, hey, what are we gonna do here? So there's always going to be shifts and changes in life. The only constant
Mhm.
that we have is change, but you really have to find your ability to pivot. You have to trust whatever your intuition or your spiritual
Mhm.
inclination is. You have to trust that. I don't feel like you can. I don't feel like faith and worry can operate in the same spaces.
Mhm.
I feel like you just have to continue forward on what you feel like your mission is going to be, and regardless of what that adversity is, you have to approach it as a character building experience. You got to approach it as something that's really designed to teach you a lesson, not something that's designed to hurt you.
Hmm. Powerful. So fast forward now to where you are right now.
Hmm.
What are some challenges you face with money?
I think having enough of it is always a challenge. I mean, you have, I mean, for me, I have children. I have a family, I have a wife. Making sure that everyone has what's necessary for them. We're continuously looking at. It's one thing to plan for the future, but you're
Mhm.
also planning for the future based on your your growth as well. So what's where I look like today and say, hey, what if nothing ever changed, what I would need 20 years from now is going to look different for what I need, let's say 3 years from now,
Yeah.
20 years from that point. That's going to be different. So it's continuing to keep up with the changing pace, of what you need. I think that's I don't know if I want to call it a struggle, but I'll call it an exercise.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to be diligent about when you're running a business as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Um, making sure that there's enough capital, to keep the business running. There's a lot of talk on social media about people running businesses. I mean, man,
Hmm.
you've been running your operation. Is people see what it looks like from the outside, but they don't see what goes into it to sustain all
No.
that. You know, they don't see the rents and insurances and all the licensing and all the equipment and all the marketing dollars that are spent and all the legal fees and other professional fees and accounting fees and and paying people and commissions and wages and everything else that has to go into it, transportation, whatever it may be. No one sees all of those aspects. So I think for me, a challenge at this point, particularly as a small business owner, is making sure that we have opportunities to stay properly capitalized and exist. Because even when you're running a business, even though business is coming in, you still have to make sure the business is operating as well.
Yes.
And that's an important consideration. So I think those are. I don't know if my challenges are, and I still have some of the same challenges as everybody else. My kids eat a lot. They eat a lot. And trying to keep food in the fridge. Because as soon as you make groceries, they're gone. So
Hopefully they're not watching this.
listen, I'll tell them too. I tell them the same thing. So no, but I think we all are going to have challenges and struggles. There's levels to struggles. I give thanks that I don't have the struggles that some other people have. I don't have the struggles of worrying about having a roof over my head, or having or having the ability to put food in the refrigerator,
Hmm.
or get to where I need to be, or take care of my kids. My kids are they're getting great educations, and that's an expense that we incur. Um, there are people out here who are really hurting. You know what I mean? So I almost feel selfish by saying anything I have is a challenge. By saying anything I have is a struggle. But I will say that for other individuals that are, really working and looking to continue to scale their income, the
Hmm.
challenges are, just kind of keeping up with the pace of where you want to go. And
Yeah.
it's also, if you're running a business, making sure that, your business, has enough capital to sustain while you're also regulating your life as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. So going back to some of the things you do, you run a platform that calls you should get a license.
Yes.
Yeah. So why do you believe people should get a license?
It's interesting because in 2020, when the world was shut down,
Hmm.
I remember having a conversation with my son that he actually reminded me of. And my son, he is in the industry now, and working as a financial services representative for a large company. And he reminded me a few months ago of the conversation that we had where everything is shut down. We're walking around our neighborhood,
Hmm.
and I said to him, I said, "Hey man, people are really hurting right now. There's a lot going in the world. Um, People, are having a hard time eating, surviving." I said, "But there's a reason why, it's the middle of the day on a Tuesday and me and you are out here walking in the street. You don't see us really stressing, things are taken care of. And the reason is because of the industry that I work in. That industry that I work in allowed me to put a bunch of work in and put a bunch of work in on the front end.
Hmm.
And now the renewals of that work, are what supports and sustain us through this time where I'm not necessarily able to actively get back out into the field because everything is shut down." And I'm just talking, right? And this is why it's important. This is why it's important to not only talk to your kids, but be mindful of what you say to them, because they're always paying attention,
Mm.
they're always
Yep.
listening. Because he reminded me of this all these years later, to say, "Hey, I remember when we were taking that walk and you told me that." And that was one of the inspirations that caused me to get into this business. I say all that to say this. In 2020, I started to really reflect on, what I had done, in this industry at that time. I've been in the business for about 8 years, and I was thinking about what I had done, and I was thinking about the fact that, man, one, had the opportunity being exposed to me sooner. Had someone talked to me
Mm.
about it when I was 18, 19 years old versus in my early 30s. Two, when I went to the environments, where there were executive level leaders, which is where I was at the time in this organization, and there was no one that looked like me, and I go
Mm.
into the rooms and, I'm one of two, actually the first one I went to, I was one of one in a room of about 400 people. And
Wow.
then eventually I was one of two. And then there was some other uh, um, mid-level managers, that were in the mix as well, kind of rising through the ranks, which was awesome. Which I would probably say I helped play a role in that too. But not seeing that representation, I said, what can I do? How can I, engage, just the general public? How can I engage people about this opportunity and let them know what it's done for me, and hopefully it could do the same for them? So I started to do these YouTube videos, and eventually started to bring on friends of mine who are in the industry, and share their stories outside of
Hmm.
a recruiting room, outside of someone making a pitch on why you should join their company, their organization, because I know everybody says their company is the best. Everybody says their opportunity is the best.
Yeah.
So let's talk to some people who are working in the industry. It's a non-biased platform. Just tell your story, tell your journey, and how you actually got a license, and what this industry has done for you. What does it help you accomplish for yourself, your family, and your community? And that's really how the platform came about. It ended up growing to the point where, you know, shoot, I remember I went down to Atlanta, and someone referenced referenced an episode, that I
Okay.
had done talking about Black pioneers of the American insurance industry. And I was like, oh man, yeah, I saw that. And, other people have reached out to me and said, hey, I got my license because of you. And now, I mean, people call me to say, hey, I want to get my license. Where can I go? So
Oh
now it really
wow.
has evolved
Okay.
into it has it has evolved into kind of a resource point. If
Hmm.
someone is looking for an opportunity that's going to fit their personality, that is going to be able to lead them in the direction that works best for them, whether it be life, whether it be health benefits, whether it be PNC,
Hmm.
then we have been able to establish relationships with a bunch of different great companies and partners that we can then direct people to, and make those introductions so that people can get in the right place and the right cultural fit for what
Hmm.
they want to be. And it's also a book now. So it went from there to now being a book that you should get a licensed book, which basically not only talks about agent opportunities, but it talks about all of the various aspects of this industry. Because just because you have a license doesn't mean you have to be an agent. You could also be
Mm.
an account manager for a company. You could be a producer for a large corporation. There's multi-billion-dollar corporations that your license would be what gets you in the door. But you could also work in claims. You can work in underwriting. You can work in actuarial sciences. You can work in marketing. There's so many places that you can go inside this industry, and I think that the license serves as a catalyst. And lastly, just getting the license is going to help you to be a more informed person. You're going
Are
to
you
know
are you
more.
talking about the life insurance license only, or all the securities?
I'm not talking about securities at all. I do not talk about securities. I'm not a securities guy. Just the life and health insurance license, or just the life license, is going to help you to be more informed, just as a consumer and as a citizen, because insurance sits at the cornerstone of all socioeconomics globally. When you think
Mm.
about it, I mean, we're on computers that are insured. We're on an internet service that's insured. We're in buildings or houses that are insured. We go to work for companies that are insured. We drive cars
Hmm.
that are insured. You
Yeah.
know, we participate in employee benefits, which is insurance. The deductions coming out of our check. When we go to the doctor, that doctor is accepting the insurance. you know
That's true.
so it's an industry that's connected to every single thing that you do. And for some reason, there are stigmas and perceptions that cause people to kind of stay away from it or maybe feel intimidated, by it to some degree. But I think it's accessible for everyone. I think the information is relevant to everyone. And I say you should get a license so you can learn. I mean, it's the most underrated business. It's the most underrated business in industry today. It is definitely the most underrated.
That's powerful. So how can people watch these videos?
All you got to do, you can visit us. The hashtag is YS Get a License. The tag, on Instagram, YS Get a License. On YouTube, you can just look for You Should Get a License. You can go to ysgetalicense.com. That'll take you right to our YouTube channel as well. So you can see those videos. You can go to Spotify, Apple, search You Should Get a License. You can also follow me, the Rod Powell, RodPowellThe at the beginning. And, wherever I am, I'm going to be telling you should get a license. So, plug in, get the book, go on Amazon, get the book. You Should Get a License. That has all the information.
Oh, it's in a book too.
Yeah, we got the book. You Should Get a License, the book. You Should Get a License, the platform. Great resource for young people and professionals who are thinking about career transitions. Because once again, the book talks about, not only does the book talk about career opportunities in the insurance and financial services industry, it also has a directory of every insurance professional association, every insurance related magazine, website, resource, designation point. Whatever you need is going to be inside of that book when you're starting.
I'll get my copy later. Yeah. I'm going to order it now. That's great. So, all right. So let's move forward with because some of the people watching the video right now, they are high income earners, high income professionals. They are making a lot of mistakes with finances, like everybody does. What are some mistakes you have made in finances you wish you knew better?
Man, listen. There have been times where I've received large lump sums of money and I've spent it. I've spent it. I think that's been some serious mistakes. I mean, I've spent money on frivolous things like jewelry. I'm not gonna say I spent frivolous money on cars. I really appreciate it. The money I've spent for any vehicle, and it's usually been necessary. So I haven't been reckless in that regard. But jewelry, definitely. Travel, definitely. Hanging out, partying, definitely. Maybe depending on the trip. Because some trips, I think some trips are priceless. Just to have the experience.
Makes sense.
But spending money versus investing it at times, I think has been been something that I've had some challenges with in the past. Making sure that taxes, are addressed properly. I definitely had a situation with some taxes a little while ago. We won't go to the mix, but I paid my bill, IRS. I paid that bill. I owe you nothing. Thank you. So making sure that. Making sure you're paying attention to the taxes. I know I had a situation with that, and like I said, whether you're earning income from a position that's giving you a salary that's in the six, maybe seven figures if you're C-suite, or whether you're an entrepreneur who is taking in cash or taking in, cards via, merchant services and selling products, goods, services, whatever it may be. Make sure you're paying attention to those taxes, man, because those taxes can get you, can definitely get you.
Yeah. I believe most millionaires they're millionaire twice, because the first time the taxes get them. And they have to lose everything so they can rebuild.
And listen, let me also say this, man, about millionaires and folks who just because you're a millionaire on paper doesn't mean you're a millionaire in your bank account.
Wow.
You might have just because you have a house or some assets doesn't mean you just have liquid money um, floating around. So I think you have to be kind of mindful of that as well. Don't feel like you have to fall into any idea
Hmm.
of public perception at all. I think that's an important lesson for everyone to learn. You don't have to meet anyone's expectation of you.
Hmm.
You don't have to try to keep up with anyone else. You need to do what works for you and your family. For me, I appreciate a minimalist, more of a minimalist lifestyle. It's you
Hmm.
know you may or may not be able to tell in my office. I don't know, but I like to keep things smaller. But like when my kids are growing, I could be in a studio apartment, be just fine. We can make that work. But
Mm.
but you know, being mindful, because there's always going to be ebbs and flows, and as quick as you can
Yeah.
make the money, you can lose it too. You know,
Mm. That's
um,
true.
things can change really quickly.
Yeah.
Things can change really quickly. So I know for me, sometimes changes have happened. Luckily, man, I've been able to navigate and and figure it out. But because I ask questions, and I always want to learn, and I'm always open to learning. And
Hmm.
some people have answers that work. Some people don't have answers,
Yeah.
and some people have answers that don't work. But you have to find out what's going to work. What's going to work for you, and what's going to help you to get to your goal for your ideal life. Because everyone's objective, everyone's mission is not necessarily the same, and what works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for you. You
Hmm.
know. So I think it's just being open to learning and finding finding what resonates with you to overcome those challenges.
That's good. Now, as I keep mentioning high income earners because I know most of these people are watching, and trying to ask these questions for them. Like, are you this like the type of person who believe that you will always be able to make the kind of money that you're making, and you don't care about preparing for, I would say, planning for certain circumstances, or are you the kind of person who plans your things ahead of time? And how do you do that with your finances?
Let me think about that question. You said, and you're speaking. Am I the kind of person that feels like I'm always going to be earning, or do I understand that there may be ebbs and flows, and how do I plan for those times? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So we have a time of retirement
Yes.
that's there for everybody, you know. So everybody will get to the point where they can't do the things they're doing right now, or they don't want to do them, you know. So are you the kind of person who plan for these times, or do you believe that you will keep doing what you're doing right now?
I think it's a combination of. I think it's a combination of both.
Hmm.
For me, I am planning for the future. I am looking at how my life insurance policies, can be leveraged for their cash value,
Hmm.
at retirement. How that creates a supplemental tax-free income, for me. I'm looking at, ways that I can leverage annuities. When it's time for me to stop actively working and beat my head, against the grindstone, like every single day. Because the reality is, where we sit now, there's no guarantee that we're still going to be at that place.
Mm.
Whether it be, circumstantial, it could be, some physical changes. We may not be able to physically do the things that we do now, 20, 25, 30 years from now.
Mm.
We also are looking at, who's going to be left behind. It's okay for you to live a great life, but what about when something happens to you? Are the people who are left behind going to be able to still maintain that life? And that's something that I certainly have put
Okay.
to my plan, to make sure that my children are going to be okay. Should something happen to me. Um, Partly because, generational wealth is just that. Like, it's generational. It doesn't, if you're the first one in your family to make money, that's not generational wealth. It's not
And you're the
generational.
first and last one.
Yeah, it's not generational until it starts perpetuating.
Yeah.
And for this era, where you do have opportunities to generate income, and sometimes large amounts of income fairly rapidly, depending on what you do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in insurance. It can be in a lot of different ways. But if you're generating that income, you got to figure out, okay, just because I made this, how do I take this and then carry it on?
Hmm.
Life insurance, you brought up, life insurance. I mean, life insurance is such a, once again, most underrated industry, but also probably the most underrated financial product as well, because life
Mm.
insurance is a death benefit, only tax-free financial product, on the marketplace. If someone is participating with, a securities product like a IRA, and like I said, I'm not speaking on IRAs or Roth IRAs specifically. If someone wants to not be subject to the limitations, whether it be contributions or whether it be income, you can use an index universal life policy and
Mhm.
basically put the same type of program, like on steroids, if you will, with no cap on what you can
Mm.
contribute, with no cap on how much you're earning, to be eligible. Matter of fact, the more you earn, the better. You just need to qualify and get past that underwriting. And if you can't qualify, then guess what? Because you're setting it up not as a life insurance policy, but as a cash value accumulation account, you could actually put that account in someone else's name, and you
Mm.
still be the owner, so that you can access those funds as you're continuing to build them on a tax-free
Okay.
basis. So those are the types of things that I'm implementing, and those are the types of things that I encourage others to do as well.
That's powerful. So annuities, what is an annuity?
An annuity is annuity is the only financial product that will guarantee you cannot outlive it.
Mm.
You know, when if life insurance is life if life insurance serves a purpose of dying too soon, then annuities serve a purpose of living too long.
Living. Oh, wow.
Right. So, if, if someone, you have a, like, even with individuals, they have their 401ks from their job, they might retire after being there 30, 35 years. What ends up happening with that money? It typically is going to, sit in that account or move over to another market-based account that has volatility going up and down. And if they need some money, they're going to pull something out. They're going to get taxed on it. And they'll go on by their business, and the account will continue to deplete, deplete, deplete,
Yeah.
deplete. Before you know, they don't have anything left, and then they got to go get a part-time job somewhere because
Yeah.
all of their funds are depleted. Well, if they're taking and putting that money into an annuity, then that annuity contract is going to continue to accumulate cash value over the course of, let's say, 5, 7, 9 years, however long that contract is, and then it's going to start paying them out a monthly stipend, essentially, basically passive income that they'll never exhaust. It's a benefit that can never be exhausted. So no matter how long they live, that money is always going to be there, and they'll have access to some of those lump sums should they want to as well. Now, it may affect the monthly amounts that they're getting paid out,
Hmm.
but that money is going to still be there for them to access and really to carry them through the duration of their life. So if you never want to run out of money, then an annuity is a great product for that, and that money grows tax deferred while it's inside of it, and then once it's ready to be paid out, then you start getting taxed on it as income, not as capital gains, which is very
Hmm.
important because it is gaming based on market performance while it's inside of that annuity, even though it's not exposed to the market. But when you start getting paid on it, you're paid on it in the form of just
Income.
just income, just taxable income,
Hmm.
versus capital gains tax. So it's a very powerful product from that standpoint, and you could actually have an annuity that pays out immediately too, depending on how old you are when you take it out, and what your objectives, what your purpose are. I mean, those are individualized conversations for the person that needs it, but it's a great vehicle, um, set up properly. There's no risk of loss of principal. You can only gain in the account, and
Hmm.
once again, you'll never run out of money.
Wow.
You'll never
So
be
that
broke.
that sounds unreal. And now you mentioned something that's so powerful. You say if you have money in 401k, let's say 401k, 403bs,
Yep.
you get to retirement age and you start to take money out of these accounts, it will deplete the account, and then next thing you know, you don't have no more money. It's dry, and
Correct.
you got to go get a job or something.
Correct.
And so you can take that money in your 41 that's in your 401k 403b, you roll it over to an annuity,
Yep.
and then you can outlive that money.
You will not outlive that money.
That's key.
You will not outlive that money. And if you're worrying about, and if you say, hey, well, what if I die? Then you can have a death benefit component to it too to pay your family. So
Whoa. That's man. I'm glad that I sat down to talk to you, because a lot of things that we don't know. Man, we've been going for about an hour now, so
oh wow, yeah,
it's
man, that
like
time
10
flew by
minutes. So, yes, let me. What is one of the greatest things you have done with money?
One of the greatest things that
Or,
I've done.
yes,
Hmm.
maybe giving money to somebody that
Okay.
did not deserve it, or you're not expecting anything in return.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. You know, if my wife was in the room, she would say, "Hey, you do stuff like that a lot." So I don't know. Let's see. Man, you know, my kids and I, during the holidays, several years, um, and we actually didn't do it this year, but we did it the year before. We did the year before. Go out and buy gifts, for other kids who, were in need. Um, and and I think that, and we've done it like with small things, but
Mhm.
this go round, we would go out and grab a few things, and I think any opportunity that you can take to once again just add value to another person. I'm always to be candid, Wilkin, man. Like I'm always giving, really expecting nothing in return. Maybe I think sometimes I feel like maybe I should expect something in return in some cases, but no, I mean, I want my legacy to be that whenever they came in contact with me, they were better as a result. Any person,
Mm.
they were better
Wow.
as a result. Whether it be getting somebody an opportunity, getting somebody a job, or getting someone with the right fit of a company, or making a recommendation to someone, or mentoring someone, a young person. I've done mentoring programs, like I said, as you know, anywhere from elementary school students. Like I said, I'm getting ready to do this program with the high school and in Richmond. Who knows what comes from that? I know one thing: the students that go through that program, they're going to be better equipped to serve themselves and their communities by the time they
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
I
That's
do know
right.
that. Um, so, I don't. I'm sure there's something that would come to mind, man. But to be honest with you, I don't keep score of the stuff that I try and do to help other people. I just do it.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. And for you to be on the call with me right now, and sharing all that knowledge, is you giving away things that people are charging money for. So that's more valuable than, even more valuable than money, right? So someone watching this video right now, it can change their lives. You know, they may have been trying to make some decisions they didn't know what to do, but watching and listening to what you say, they can steer them to the right direction. So that's powerful, man. So thank you very much for all the things you do.
Thank you, man. Yeah, if we can plant a
Yeah.
seed, if we can plant a seed, for someone to continue and to learn and make a change that's going to be positive in their life, then we've done our job, right? Muhammad Ali said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." You know,
Hmm.
so I try to
Okay.
do that.
Amazing. Yeah. So if you had a few words to leave someone with, let's say someone who's making about in well, $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year, but they find themselves in difficulties to save enough for their retirement. So what advice could you give to some? Maybe it's not financial advice, but what suggestion you could give to someone like that?
Yeah. I mean, if they're having a hard time, kind of preparing for their retirement, I mean, I think the first thing they understand is that in this time and society that we're in, 150 to $200,000 is not a lot of money to make. Especially if you're paying taxes. If you're a W-2
Mhm.
employee, you're probably paying good 40% of that in taxes. So
Hmm.
you're not even really taking all that home anyway. So I think that the first thing I would say is, make sure that your expectation, your perception of what you're earning is correct. Because you're
Hmm.
probably not you're not earning $150,000. You're earning
Oof.
$90,000.
Hey.
So you need to, but you got to kind of start there and say, okay, does the lifestyle that I'm either living or want to live, work, within that $90,000 time frame? Then you got to take it to a fact. Hey, do you have a family? Do you have kids? Do you have, other family, parents, that you need to take care of, and other things that you have going on that are the consideration. Um, so I would encourage, everyone to just take a good hard look, and think about, just based on our conversations, even think about what are those expenses that are maybe a bit frivolous. Is it,
Hmm.
obviously you're not going to not enjoy your life, and you should enjoy your life. And I don't like it when people say, oh, well, don't have fun, don't have a good time. You should,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you also have to put those things into moderation, and you have to find a way to control costs. Look at, get yourself, you know first, start a business, if you can. Um, Use programs like QuickBooks. Get your balance sheet in order. Get your income statement in order.
Hmm.
You know, Make sure you're looking at your P&Ls. Look at what's going out versus what's coming in. Seeing what maybe you're spending too much on. Maybe recalibrate, shift some of those dollars for the extra things, and say, hey, how can I redirect those funds into my savings? Make it an
Hmm.
automatic deduction if you can, and go into a separate account. Because if you're working a job, you probably can use a direct deposit for 2, 3 accounts. Make that deduction go into a separate account, and for that, and in that separate account, have that separate account fund a vehicle that will help you get to your goal. For example, if you find when you're looking at your budget, there's an extra $300 to $400 that is going towards expenses that you likely could trim, take that
Hmm.
$300 to $400, put it in a separate account, and utilize that $300 to $400 a month, $3,600 a year, or $4,800 a year, however much you're putting in there, and set you up an uninterrupted cash value accumulation account, i.e., an index universal life policy,
Hmm.
so that those funds can then continue to accrue interest. Now, talk about life insurance, but once again, you do got to get through underwriting. If you can't get through the underwriting, then perhaps that account can be established with someone else's health, being leveraged. They can be insured, you can be the owner,
Yeah.
or maybe it's, continuing to diligently save in that account, work with, a financial professional that is securities licensed, and they can help you with some market-based products, and you can amass enough money to maybe do an annuity to shield yourself, for
Hmm.
retirement when that time comes, while also still having some funds that are participating in the market as well. And like I said, you need to talk to a security professional for those market-based investments. But I'll tell you this: for an index universal life policy or a indexed annuity,
Hmm.
you can holler at your boy Rod Powell, and I'll get you right.
Powerful, man. Excellent. Well, man, thank you so much for being on this interview with me today. And
Thank you,
it's
man.
possible. I believe there is no better way to close our interview today with this great information that you just shared with IUL and Iowa Index Universal Life and Annuity. Any last words so we can close?
And I'll just say I would love to stay in communication and in contact. So check me out, the Rod Powell. That's on Instagram. That's on Or if you're on LinkedIn, it's Gerard Powell Senior. Pretty active on LinkedIn as well. Would love to stay in contact and come check me out on the number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business today. You should get a license and learn to get your license.
Excellent, man. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for watching the video today. This is It's Possible Insurance, where we help individuals, high income. Yes, go ahead.
And the reason they should get a license, you know why?
Why?
Because it's possible.
Because it's possible. It's possible. All right. So this is where we help high income earners to save and prepare their retirement so that they can retire without financial stress. Thank you very much, Rod, and everybody have a great day.